I know you created a burn process, so tell us what it is burn process.
Burn is simply this. If you throw a bunch of materials into a fire, only the things of lasting value withstand the flames. What is actual burn acronym? It's BURN. The B in burn is for beginning. The U in burn is for urgency. And then the N in burn is for newness. A new result, a new part of yourself. I built a whole company around this concept. Apply this to deal making. It's how I get a deal done, manage around a deal, and bring it into its conclusion and close.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Path of Progress. I'm your host Alex Kononov, and today's guest invests in land deals most people won't touch at all. Rezoning, subdivisions and complex acquisitions with over 100 deals across multiple states. But what makes his story more powerful isn't just the deals, it's the pivot. From authoring 13 books to living in an RV, while seeking medical care for his son, to building a land investment business that worked during one of the hardest seasons in his life. Jeremy, welcome to the Path of Progress.
Hey, great to be here, Alex. I'm really honored to be here. As I was prepping for this, I was listening to some of your past episodes. I think you got a lot of good content out there, and you really do a good job of bringing people on and drawing their experiences out. We had our first conversation and I was like, okay, I need to know this guy more. I need to know what he's all about. And you told me a little bit of your story. I think it's awesome. So I'm really honored to be here.
It's great to have you, man. I know you have a lot going on in your life between family and land acquisitions, so I know time is super valuable, but let's dive deep into your real story where you started. Before land investing, you spent 2 decades in publishing world. What were you building in that world?
Yeah, so my publishing business started in my early 20s. I wrote my first book. I never should have been writing a book, ever. But I sat down to write this book, and I realized I am not just a bad reader, I'm a bad writer. And so I had to figure out a different solution. So what I did is I simply just made my whole book into a very specific outline, like chapter by chapter, almost paragraph by paragraph. And I arranged an interview for myself in such a way that as I answered the questions, my answers became the book. And it was what allowed me to get a book written in like a weekend. And that's normal now. Back then, this is 2005, 2006. I was just trying to solve a problem, but I got my book launched, and I wrote that book to purely promote my consulting business I had at the time. And it worked out really well. And people started to say, hey, how did you do this? How did you write this book? And I showed them. And then they asked me a great question. They said, would you do that for me? And I thought, if I can interview successful people about why they're successful and put it in a book for them, that's a great business for my 20s. I'll learn a lot from people doing that. And, now it's 17 years later. And I just slowly refined that process of how do you go from somebody's brain and their heart to spoken word to written word to a book that does something for them and does something for the readers. So I spent 17 years doing that. I never thought I would do it for 17 years. I never tried to get into it, but like all entrepreneurs, just like yourself, Alex, I saw a problem, I solved the problem, and a lot of other people had the same problem. So it became a good business.
No, 100%. And I like how you try to solve the problem for yourself and you create a lead funnel from your first book, and then it leads to you to more consulting. And consulting was on how to write a book, right? That was
Well,
business.
consulting at the time. So what I did, I'm in my early 20s, man. So I became a single dad at 19. And I realized if I don't figure something out, I'm never going to see this kid. I was going to school full time, had 2 part-time jobs, started my first business called PC Hospital, where all of my students, my friends who had parents with computer issues, I was like, hey, if you don't want to fix them, I'll fix them. So I had a PC repair business. And I realized I'm never going to see this kid. So I just said, you know what? I will be his daycare by day, and I'll start a business, and I'll just work that at night. And that's what I did for 5 years until he went to school for real. And so that's what got me into business. And then in my journey of that, I licensed somebody else's content. So I went through some sales material, sales training, personal development type stuff. And then I licensed that material, and then I was the trainer of it. So I had a little consulting business where I was the talking head, basically, but I had really great material that I licensed, and then I delivered it to sales teams. So I had a great time. It was another one of those things, Alex. I'm sure you got so many of them in your life, and your listeners do, where you look back and you go, how did that even work? How did I even have any customers? I'm like, why would anybody have hired me? I was like 23 saying, I'm going to help you become more successful in life. And it was a good little business, and it allowed me to be daycare by day. And but I did many different things back then. So that's what I was doing. I was a consultant, and I was competing for business with consulting firms that had been in business for longer than I'd been alive. So I'm like, I have to increase my credibility. I have to have more authority in what I'm doing. I know I can train this stuff well. So I wrote a book with some of the fundamentals of here's what I do, here's what I teach. And then I would just give that book away. Any prospects that I wanted to get in touch with, I'd send them a book and I'd follow it up with a phone call. And that was my marketing strategy. Still is to this very day.
Wow, how many books did you give away?
Oh, I don't know back then. So overall in my whole career, how many books? Thousands. Thousands of books I've given away because they're my lead magnets. And not just like put in your email and get this ebook. I will take a physical book and I'll hand write the to address, handwrite the from address on the envelope. I'll mail it to somebody. It'll have a handwritten note in it. And it'll be for a very specific person that I'll call them and say, hey, did you get my book? Yeah, I got your book. Haven't had time to read it. Don't read it. Let's get together and talk. And that has been how I've grown, my little business, 17 years in business. That's been the number one and only marketing strategy I've ever had, is to mail prospects books and call them with a phone call. And so my book, I did that in publishing, was called Get It Done. And why was it called Get It Done? It was about how to get a book done. And my customers would say over and over, I just need to get this thing done, Jeremy. I've been thinking about it for years. I just got to get it done. So that became the mantra of our little marketing strategy for that business. And it was very, very simple. I've tried so many other things. I tried the Facebook funnels and all that, and it works. That's not that it doesn't work, but it wasn't as simple as me handwriting a note, sending a book to somebody and calling them. And I do that in real estate right now too. I get a lot of leads doing stuff like that.
What about the price cost? I mean, printing a book, shipping a book, it's quite a hefty price tag. So was it worth it? I mean, obviously it
Yep.
was, since you have a success story here. But tell us, how did you decide to do it? I mean, did you allocate budget for it, or you just went with the flow? Okay, one book at a time. Let's print it. Let's go with it. Or did you order thousands of books right away, and
Yeah.
you just had it stored in your storage?
Yeah, I would have several hundred on call, so to speak, in inventory. But what I would do is, and any business can do this. What is my average revenue per new customer? And then every book I would send out, I would just track of like, if I send out so many books, how many books do I send out before I get a new customer in the door? And so we figured out over a period of time, every time I send out a book, I'm going to make $1,000. Not from just sending that out, but obviously, like the more that go out, that's how many customers are going to come in the door. So if we want to go after $100,000, I need to send 100 books. And after a while, it got to the point where I didn't need to send them out anymore because I would have people who would show up. I remember a guy showed up in my office. He had his Get It Done book and my handwritten note that I had sent 4 years prior. And he was like, here it is. I still had it. I'm ready to get my book done now. And that became our whole culture of like, we help people get things done that are big, that are hairy and complicated, that they've wanted to do for years. We're a publishing business, but at the end of the day, we're helping people get big projects done they've wanted to do for years, and it'll change their life when it's done.
So the idea was never to make the book profitable on its own. It's just to fuel your other business, right? From the day one.
100%. It's authority marketing. So I didn't realize what I was doing in my, in the early days of this, but it was authority marketing. I wrote the book that you just got in the mail, and I'd love to come and talk to you and work with you or whatever. I would say though, Alex, like I always knew very specifically who I could help better than anybody else. So it wasn't just like out of the blue. And I made it so it was very personal, very relational. I hand wrote everything. It did not look mass maily at all. And even my really bad handwriting, like it's personal. And I would say to that person, like, I see you, we haven't met before, but I sent you that book because I know your business. I've helped other people in your industry. I see your team, the size of your team. I see where your business is going. And I really think I can help you in this specific way. So if you'll give me 30 minutes, like we'll see if I'm the perfect fit to help you. And like, here was always the line, man, for anything. Like I still do this. If I'm not the perfect fit, I'll find you the perfect fit. Fair enough. And like, I was just showing up because I really believed I could help them. I believed in them. And this goes right into real estate stuff. Like, I want to work with people I believe in. I love making success with others. But I really want to, I like them. Like, I want them to win. And if you can do that, you create this attitude and the kind of this momentum with your deals, with whatever you're doing of we're winning together, we're having a good time doing it, we're creating value. And that's like the culture and the ethos I try to create around everything that I do. But it's not complicated and it's not intentional. It's just like, I want you to win. I know I can help you. Let's do that.
I
And
like it. It's opposite mentality. You give in first. You give, and say, listen, I can provide value. I'm already providing value, giving you this book for free, and you providing this. Okay, this guy already wrote a book. Let maybe might as well we should do the same. And let me ask you this: for your clients that you help to publish multiple books, was the goal just to publish to get it out there, or did you also create a marketing campaign? Did you help them to grow that arm? Like, hey, listen, let's make it not actually let's publish it, but let's make it profitable.
oh yeah. So I would even sign like cash flow guarantees, I would call them, of like, hey,
Wow.
if I really know your customer avatar, I will give you an exact plan. If you follow this plan and you're not terrible at sales, here's the outcome you can get, and I'll sign my name to it. I've done that many times with people, but I have to really know what's that average revenue per new customer number. What does that look like? But I mean, man, and it came down to we had a service in our business for a period of time where we would mail their books and they would make the phone calls. And I was like, we can be very successful at that, but if they're not a great on the phone, nothing's going to really work. So we would have to really pick the right people. But we did that for a while for people. It was awesome. And we were making like, people were getting in big sales appointments, big sales calls, all that kind of stuff. It was awesome. And I really enjoyed it because people could wrap their mind around it. We're going to mail books to people. And well, who should I mail them to? Who do you get excited about wanting to work with? Who really, if they walk through your door, you would be pumped. Work with those people only. And you'll get so good and you'll have such a good time doing it. You won't have a tough time attracting talent to your organization. You won't have a tough time bringing on new customers because they'll come to you. I think it's a huge key that people miss is like really picking your customers well that you naturally love. You want them to succeed. You'd sacrifice for them. They feel that. And when I tell them, like I just got off the phone with the guy, I'm like, I want to work with you, man. I know I can help you. And like, I want to see you win. And I know I can help you win. And it was like, that's the best close right there. Because it was sincere. Like, I really do want to help him win. I really know I can. And he wants to win. We have a good synergy like that. And it just makes it easy.
It's like applying Pareto law, right? 80-20, 20-80. So 20% of your customers, 80% of your income versus 80% of your customers is opposite, 20% of income and more headache. So you have to pick your battles, make sure you have the right fit for you and for them to make sure it's synergies. Otherwise, it's going to be just a struggle. And tell me this, do you still have that business? I mean, it sounds like you had a great success. Are you still doing it on the side? I know you're in real estate full time right now, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And it took me about 2.5 years to scale that business back. And because I didn't want to sell it. I didn't want to fully exit it. I still have a lot of books and stuff that I want to do, and I've got some plans for that entity. But I scaled it way back. It took me about 2.5 years. And so, because the projects last so long. So, like, I can't be like, oh, I'm going to scale this business back and, like, next week have it done. When I first decided to scale the business back, we had 52 authors going. It was the most authors I had at that point in time.
Wow.
I did not enjoy having that many authors, but I was like, I need to do something else. And I need to like be intentional with how I'm going to do this because it felt like I was changing a tire going 80 down the interstate. And we had to like, where am I going to do next? What's going to happen? So there had to be a good long-term strategy for that. And I was telling people, like, I think it's harder to slow a good business down than it is to start one. It took a lot of skill and a lot of timing and strategy to actually scale this back in a way that didn't ruin the business. So I still do have it. I don't do it near as much. Like I used to do real estate as I was driving home from publishing. Now I'm doing publishing as I'm driving home from real estate, so to speak. So it's flip-flopped, but I still got some plans for that company for sure. I really enjoy the value we can bring to the table for people. Like it's a life-changing thing when somebody publishes the right book and they do it well. It's a game changer.
Love it, love it, love it. And okay, so just last question on this topic. I know the publishing business can be good in terms of leads, right? It's one of the big income streams for and the motivation for people to publish their book. But in terms of hey, how much can book actually make for publisher? In terms of hey, just regular book sales, if of course we don't know if it's gonna hit or not. No one can see the future. But what are the normal numbers in publishing industry? Like okay, what is the average of sales income? What are those?
Average across the board in publishing is probably selling less than 100 books, I would guess. Most authors don't sell very many books at all because they're not really great books, unfortunately. Kind of like me when I first did mine. I got a book done, but I was one of the first people to ever write more books than he actually read. So if you understand what I'm saying there. But I think that I've had authors who their books became $1 million entities. We didn't do that through mass volume of book sales. We did it through quality content and then scaling that content. For example, I had a doctor. We wrote a book, and then I think we've done 4 or 5 for him now. But then we started to license his book out to the people going through his consulting programs because I helped him grow his business using his book. So we started licensing his book out, and that became almost $1 million program for him. And I've had a couple people do that. So my publishing was very, very niche. I never approached somebody about, hey, I think you could sell 1 million copies. Now I have authors who have sold probably over 100,000 copies. I could count them on one hand. So very, very few, because that was never my pitch. I never went after people like that. I said, your content can make a lot of money for your business and around your business. That was always my pitch. So I never came about writing books and selling books. You can do that. Obviously, there's a lot of people who do that, but even the most successful authors you read, their books are a money-making entity, but not near as much as all the things they do around their book. They're speaking and they're consulting and then they're whatever they're doing. So it is very typical of authors, even the biggest and the best know, I publish these books and write these books. I'll make some money from them, but not near as much as I can make around them.
No, 100%. It's additional value add, like we call in real estate, and you just keep
Right.
unlocking it. It's interesting, Lance, to look at it. I never heard it before, because everyone like yeah, I have like best selling, best selling, best selling, and there's some tricks. I guess people trick in Amazon to be best selling on the first time and just
Yep.
blasting everyone to on the first hour and just right away talk. And it's like okay, I got my golden badge, bestseller, and I'm a cool guy, but it's not the point.
It's not,
Um,
it's the game. You got to play the game. You got to know how to play the game, and you got to play it, and that's part of the game. Is here's how you can become a bestseller. Even the New York Times, USA Today stuff. It's a game. You got to know that game and play it well. But yeah, I think that anybody who wants, especially with the way the world's going, you build rapport through authority first. We used to build rapport of, hey, Alex, you're in real estate, I'm in real estate. Oh, you're in this part of the country. So we build rapport based on a lot of commonality traits in a conversation. Now we live in a very cynical world, rightfully so. And people want to know you know what you're doing first. So when I'm talking to sellers, when I'm talking to anybody potentially, I know I need to tastefully and appropriately display my authority either before or on the front end of that conversation so they know that I have authority in what I'm talking about. And you can do that really well before that conversation starts. So you have that already built. Like your podcast, it does that for people. Like I can not know you and I could find out a lot about you. You got a whole bunch of content and stuff out there, and you can build that authority before I even talk to you. But people want to know
100%.
that they have that authority first, especially today. I think it's more important than ever.
Yes, we have so much noise out there, and just to make sure you're talking to the right people, it's very important. Now, listen, book publishing world is very exciting and interesting and intriguing, but not a lot of entrepreneurs pivot from successful business. What made you to pivot into real estate, and how did you discover real estate?
Yeah, so I was really by accident. A theme that you'll hear me say over and over, Alex, which is our problems are the key to get to wherever we're going next. If I'm trying to get to another level, the problems that I have in my life today are going to be the keys that help me get there. So I had been watching real estate for a little bit. It was always this thing I wanted to do, but it wasn't for people like me. I could never afford it. I was watching for land. I wanted to homestead with my family. We still want to do that. So I was looking for that, and I'm looking in 2018, and I'm like, man, these prices are crazy. Then we go 2019, and everybody knows what happened in 2020. I was like, I'll never be able to do this. This is not going to happen. Like, I have to figure out a creative way to do this. So that got me into learning land. I ran into a guy named Seth Williams, RE Tipster. He was like the first guy, like so many people in land, that I ran into his videos and his podcasts and consumed a ton of his content, his courses, all of that. But I was really very much dabbling. And then my second youngest son, Bennett, was born, and he had something called severe bilateral clubfoot. It's kind of where his feet should be like facing like this, and they were like twisted upside down and facing his face when he was born. It's pretty creepy looking, and he had a true knot, what's called in the umbilical cord, a true knot. Like it was a knot that was so tight they couldn't get the knot out. And like the nurse like showed it to me and to my wife right after he was born, and they were like, "He is a miracle. This kid is a true miracle that he's alive." So we were told to fix his feet. Here are the surgeries he's going to need, this and that. If he wants to walk, this is what you guys have to do. And we took that, Alex, as like a data point. Here is one person's idea of what should be done to fix this problem. And my wife is really like holistic. She was like, all we're talking about is his feet. What else is going on in his whole body that's causing this to happen? Like, what else might be going on here? So we just simply did this. We said, you know what? We can always come back and get the surgery, no problem. But what we're going to do is we're just going to leave no stone unturned. We're going to call every doctor, every therapist that'll sit down and talk with us about this and see what other kind of solutions might be out there. And, it started with me with a notebook, and I had 20 some different hospitals that I was just cold calling up to say, hey, here's what we're doing. What do you guys do with this? And then we eventually just hit the road. And long story short, we were on the road about 4 years, and we would just go to different therapy solutions, different doctors and philosophies all over the country. And we didn't know how long we would be there, where we would go next, or what we were going to do while we were there. I just knew I had to make a whole bunch of money in a short period of time. And that's when flipping land really saved the day, so to speak, is I had to figure this out. I didn't have 40 hours a week anymore. I had maybe 10 to 20. I didn't know where I was going to be, when I could work. And this business model, through that necessity, worked so well for me. And I think I'd have figured something out some way, shape, or form, but land just turned out to be the perfect thing. And I love land still. I do some single family right now, trying to get into multifamily. That'll happen here soon, but land is like my foundation. But if I wouldn't have had that problem and like back against the wall, literally, we were doing therapy solutions and insurance wasn't covering any of it because in their mind, it was like completely unrelated, no problem. But, I had to make a lot of money, and that's what got me into land. And I think like when I thought like this could be a really serious solution. We were going to Chicago. I knew it was going to be an $18,000 trip, give or take. I had a bunch of options, invoices are out there and stuff like that, but how exactly am I going to pay for this? I don't exactly know yet. And we're driving to Chicago. My wife's like, hey, the therapist just called me. She has another therapist who can do like tandem, like double up sessions for Bennett. And I was like, you know what? Why not? It's double the price, but I'm like, let's do it. Like, just book them. And so that budget kind of grew. And it was when we crossed the threshold of like the suburbs of Chicago. I pulled into a gas station to fill up, and in the back of my van, I closed a deal that made me about 18 grand right there, that in the next couple of days. And I was like, I think I can do this. I think this might fit me a little bit, but I'm not sure yet. But I'm just going to like take it deal by deal. And I did one deal at a time, Alex, one deal at a time, even though I'd close maybe 4 or 5 at a time, but I was one deal at a time as often as I can do it. And I did that for a couple years and ended up, I stopped counting when I got to 100 deals. I didn't count anymore after that, but I was like, okay, I think I can. I just want to get a bunch of reps in, and I want to get a bunch of experience and make as much as I can. And the mentality was, you know what, if we run out of money, we'll know it's done. We'll go back, we'll do the surgeries, and I'm okay with that. I wasn't like, we have to figure this out. It was just a mentality of, we will leave no stone unturned. And I will know at the end of the day, if we got to go back and do this kind of surgery stuff that I don't agree with, I'll know I looked for every single other option that's out there, and I can live with that.
Yeah. No,
Long-winded
it's
answer. How did I get into real estate?
no, it's a very detailed. I appreciate you sharing all this with us. I know it's emotional. So your first deal, you said that you discovered these mentors that you talked to and rare tipsters that you heard about it. So what was your first deal and how did you actually come out? I know you had limited
Yep.
time and you had limited resources to it. So what was it?
So my first deal, like a lot of people in land, was like desert squares. I didn't know the difference. I just knew what I had to buy for, and I knew what I could flip for. But I wouldn't really know for sure. So, but I remember I sent out a mailer. That was back in the good old days. You could send out 1,000 pieces of mail and get 20 deals. But I sent out a mail campaign, blind offers. Didn't know what I was doing. Got a whole bunch of people who emailed me back saying you are crazy, and I got a whole bunch of hate responses because my offers were so low because I was just inexperienced. And bought 6 lots from a guy. He had 6 adjacent lots, and I bought them for $6,000. And I thought, I think these are worth probably like 25 or 30. So I think I can sell them to some another investor for like 12. And ended up doing that in like the next day. So I made $6,000. And I was like, this is awesome. So think of this, Alex. My paradigm was I go put a deal together in the publishing world. I say, here's the author, here's the writer, here's the team, the process, the timeline. I structure the whole deal. I sell the deal, win the contract. Now I got to do all this work for like a year. And in real estate, I was like, I just put the deal together. I found the seller, bought it. I just put the deal, and that was the work. That was a paradigm shift for me. I've always been great at putting deals together. It's what kept me in business. But the work, core of it, was essentially putting the deal together. And that changed my mind. I couldn't believe
I,
it.
I think we're missing key information here. So did you know the market where the land is located? Like you specifically target areas that you know 100% what it is. You have visual representation of the area. And then when you said, I know how much I bought it, I kind of understand how much you sold, but what kind of due diligence did you do to get that information? And where did you
Yeah,
find sellers? So let's go details in this first property
right.
because this is way back that you had limited online resources, I believe.
Well, so this was, what was it, 2022? Maybe
Ah,
2021?
this 22, 21.
Yeah. So this
Okay.
is this is recent. Um, I mean, I had been dabbling, but I never really like said I'm going to really try to go get a deal and buy some land. So I knew the market. I had targeted a couple different markets. So I narrowed it down from this state to this county to this little section. And I thought I understood the retail value of that section of this county. And so I just said, here's the retail. I'm going to make 20 an offer for 25% of the retail value because I think I can sell it to somebody else for 50%, who's then going to go sell this land on terms. So I knew the market, I knew who I would sell it to, I knew what they were looking for. At least like I had a good idea enough to do it. And so I sent out mailers they get it right in the mail. It's a blind offer saying, I'll give you this much for your land. If you agree, sign this and mail it back to me or give me a call. And
So you
so,
went through individual plots of land. How many mail? Thousand mailers you sent at the time, and you went through every individual. You had the price in mind, and you put it in your letter.
yep, I did. So, and this was not thought of like this is a great idea at that time. People were like, just use an auto generating offer, send that out. But I went through each one and I'm like, here's what I think I would give. So I didn't send 1,000 all at once, but I sent like a good couple hundred at a time that were decent offers that I thought. So even when I send out mailers today, mailing campaigns to buy land, I go through each individual lot and I price each individual one. And I'll snipe deals all the time. Like I'll just straight up cold call people because I just know that market. I know what I can offer them. I'll skip trace them, call them, send them handwritten notes, whatever. That time it was mass mail. So I knew enough about the market to be dangerous. And I didn't know I could like hold the contract and then assign it. Like I didn't know it that well. I bought it, took title, and I'm like, at the very least, if this all goes south, I know I can retail these on Facebook and for sure make my money back. But I felt like I had the price right. He wanted it closed quick. I gave him his cash. He's good. And then I just sent out an email to my list of people that I'd been networking with in the land space and said, here's what I got. Here's the deal. That was it.
And when you say you networking, is this are you part of some mastermind, or is some Facebook groups that you were part of?
Yep, I joined some Facebook groups. I joined a coaching program that was like a 12-week program, step by step thing. I would never do that model now, but at the time, that's what I needed to get the business started. Because like to your point, Alex, I think it's important when people are starting, find somebody. You don't need to fully agree with their model, but who has a step by step way for you to like. Here's how you get in the game. Because for me, it was just about getting in the game. And once I understood it enough, I did enough deals, then I started to be like, okay, what's going to be my niche as my business evolved? That's what got me into rezoning and subdividing and complicated acquisitions and stuff. But in the beginning, they gave me a process and a checklist, and I just did it. I didn't ask any questions. I just did it. And so they said, here's how you price a market, here's how you mail, here's what you mail, all of those things. And I just followed their system. And I didn't get
Well,
creative with anything.
no, listen, sometimes it will take you just go step by step to try the process, because you can teach you someone how, like, as much as you want to, like, hey, this is what you do on closings, this is how you do on house, this is how you do diligence. But unless someone goes through the cycle, it won't really save anything in their head. It's experience that you have to get from this person, and step by step is actually what helps to, like, handheld in to go through the process. So for our listeners, can you unpack a little bit? How do you know the price, the exit price, the full price of the plot? Do you go by comps, or you, hey, this is like building, or by assessor's office, appraiser office, how much is land valued?
No, so here's what I do. I'm different in the land space. Okay, I think this is going to become super common because I think it's the way to win now. But I was very specific about the market, so I would pick a 10-mile radius and be like, I'm going to focus on this specific area. So I would study the market. I'd look at what's for sale, what's sold, how long did it take to sell, the ratio between for sale, sold, all the things everybody does to like comp out a market and figure that out. I would do that. Then when a lead would come in, I would just do a deep dive on due diligence on what are the comps right in this little area, and what are the house values of the homes that are in the area. What are the utility situation? What's the zoning? What's my potential to get it rezoned or subdivided or whatever the case? I really understood that individual piece of land. And then, if it's expensive enough, I'll get agent opinions that are agents in the area. But really, at the end of the day, man, you've got to know more than anybody else. You've got to be able to comp that land out better than anybody else. 3, 4, 5 agents, they'll give me their numbers. But to me, just like go back to the doctor thing, it's one more data point. I'll have multiple comp tools. Each are a little bit of a data point. I'll talk to multiple agents, a little bit of a data point. House values, land sales, market information, all that's a little bit of a data point. I tried to make a spreadsheet that would kind of pull all this together for me, and it became so complicated, I stopped using it. But it's really like you got to know that as an investor, especially in the land space, you've got to be able to understand what's the value of this piece of land, because you could go down there. Like I was doing all this online. You might go there and you don't see it on satellite, but somebody's neighbor just burnt their house down or something, or some new person moved in right across the street and they are making a mess. All those things are the wild, wild west, a little bit of land. And it's why I like it. And I just enjoy that. But am I getting clear enough for you, Alex? Like, ask me more questions. But at the end of the day, you got to really feel good because I'm buying it. I'm taking title. I'm paying cash, and especially in the beginning, it was my money or it's my partner's money or whatever. Like, I don't care if it's a $10,000 acquisition or a quarter million, whatever it is. Like I'm really beating up those numbers so I know what we're getting into, and I've already won when I buy it. I've already won.
How do you hedge your risks that you made a right decision, right calculation? Is there any timelines you put on the contract? You trying to assign it nowadays, or you still buying your contracts? You closing your deals before selling it again?
It depends on the deal. I've never done it where I've assigned it before I bought it. Maybe I've done that once. And it was just because I was like, oh, forget this. I can't do it. And I don't even think I had the contract that said it. I just called the seller and said, listen, I'm not going to buy this from you anymore, but I have somebody who will. So here's how we're going to do this. And it wasn't a clean assignment fee because I didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew like I don't want to buy it, but he will. So here you go. And I made very little money, but I made something. But I do put like 30 days due diligence is very typical. If I think they're pretty hot, I'll do like 10 days due diligence. If there's a big problem I'm trying to solve, I'll put it contingent upon me solving that problem before I take title. It just depends on the deal. So I am trying to mitigate my risk. But if I know the county and I know I can get the rezone approved, if there's a bunch of adjacent parcels that are the same kind of size I'm going to rezone to and everything, I'll just buy it. I won't wait. It just depends on if I got experience with that county though. So there's
Do you have multiple land deals that you hold right nowadays? You use what's your typical turnaround?
Yeah, so my inventory is a little lighter now. I just went through a big disposition piece. So we just did a bunch of rezones, a bunch of subdivides, and we're exiting now a lot of them, and we're seller financing them. We're selling the notes. We're doing all those things. I'm usually in 10 to 20 deals at a time. Like I think I have 5 or 6 under contract right now. They're going to be a little bit longer deals, and I'll have people reach out to me. Like one deal, who the guy said, "Hey, I bought this a couple years ago, didn't realize it, but there's no access." And I said, "I'll create access for it." And he's like, "Get me my money back. We'll split everything after that. No problem. Done. I will solve that problem and I'll get him out of this, and he's going to make some good money doing it." So I will tell you this, Alex, like I don't have like, here is my exact box I put things into. It is deal by deal. I get creative a lot. Yeah, I have all the stuff in place. Like my assistant is basically a transaction coordinator at this point because she can do all the paperwork and everything for me, allows me to move quickly. But I don't have a box everything fits into. It's very much situationally dependent. I just did a deal, went under contract in Wisconsin, landlocked deal. There's no access at all. I talked to the agent. I understood the story a little bit more, and sometimes so I gave him 2 options. I'll give you this much cash right now. We'll close in as fast as you can close, or I'll give you about that much contingent upon me unlocking this. And then we'll close when I have the easement. It's recorded. It's insurable. So I'll give them options here and there. But even with that, can this agent effectively deliver this message and all the things that go into it? So is that what you're looking for, Alex? Like, do you want me to go any?
Too many points here of failure with a realtor and all these conditions. But tell me this: now you just open up another like whole holy grail of land investments. If the land is locked, what do you do, Jeremy?
Oh yeah, I love landlocked deals. Like I'm hoping I can make this like my main thing that I do. It's very difficult. So here's another thing, Alex. Like everybody was talking about, don't rezone a piece of land. Like just move on. There's too many flips out there. I was like, the market's changing. It's not going to be this way in a year and a half. I'm going to start doing rezones now and get really good at it. And that's what I did. I think, there's a lot of like creative ways, messy titles, curative title. I love those kind of businesses too. I like landlocked. So how do you do it? You got to create an easement, and you basically do that through 3 ways. You find an easement, something that's been there that nobody even knows about, which happens, I think, about a quarter of the time I've had these deals. It's there, poorly indexed. You got to dig to find it. You might even have to go down there to the actual county office, and you got to do it for that parcel and every other parcel around it. So you find it. Next thing is you negotiate it and you buy it. You go to the neighbor and say, "I need an easement. Like my land is landlocked over there. Can I give you $1,000, $10,000? What's it going to take?" And so you buy one. And the last one that most states will allow you to do, unless it's very specific circumstances, is you sue for one. So you pretty much can always have an avenue to get one. It's about how long is it going to take and how much is it going to cost you to get it. So those are the 3 ways, basically.
So even worst case scenario, you can buy it. You can. There is no easement. There should be legal way to get to your property, right? So it's by law you should have one or another access to the property, right?
Yeah, you got to meet some certain conditions if you go to court to do that, because common law, and every state's different, every jurisdiction is different, but you can't legally like keep somebody out of their property. And I don't want to say a percentage, very high percentage, 99 maybe. But it depends on If you're going to go to court, can you present your case well and tell that story well, or are they going to tell their story better? So when you go to court, nothing's guaranteed, but like you can sue for one and you can pretty much get it done. But is that going to kill the deal? Is that worth it? If you got to put up 50 grand, then you got to do 50 grand to get the legal easement. Then you got to do another 40 grand to actually put the physical access in there, install the road. It might kill your deal. So
No.
when I go under contract with a landlocked deal, I'm trying to give myself enough time to understand what it's going to take for me to create this easement. And then I want to close with the easement recorded so I get title insurance on that easement.
Love it. So tell us this, Jeremy, what is the lowest money you paid for the deal, land deal, and the highest that you paid?
Lowest? I mean, I did some portfolio buys where we just kind of threw them in there. But I would say, let me think. That's a great question. Lowest acquisition price on land. Probably that very first one where I bought 6 parcels. I mean, there was effectively $1,000 a lot. $1,000. They were worth 3. Hey man, like for me, my first deal, it was awesome.
Home run.
Yeah, home run. Biggest is
it took you one day to this position, yeah?
Yep. I'll do that deal today. So highest one is probably like getting close to that quarter $1,000,000 mark. I haven't gone any higher than a quarter yet. I've got a couple in the pipeline that are there, but I really like my sweet spot of under that $250,000 price point where my buyer can't get a note or can't go to the bank necessarily. So I got a seller finance opportunity there. It's a lower price point entry because it's just land, right? They got the land cost, then you got the utility cost, and you got the build cost. So I like to stay right in there. My sweet spot, my most ideal place to be is where I'm buying for like 100,000 or less. I'm breaking it up into 5 different lots. In my first 2 sales, fully recapitalize that deal. And then I got the last 3 lots that are all gravy, all net.
Nice. I mean, this is a great deal, yeah, for sure. But you hedging over risk of not selling, and you already have your money back, so you just pure income. But tell me this: what's your average income net on the deals? How much are you trying to get? 50%, 30%? Do you have some ballpark numbers?
I'm always trying to double up. Like that's like if I can double up, I'll do it. Even if it takes me a year. If I can double my money, I will do that. That's like my bare essential to do it. Like a very typical Arizona rezone and subdivide for me is one where I bought it 4 acres, bought it for 20 grand, rezoned it, subdivided it, cleaned it, cleared it, everything. That total cost was probably another like 7 or 8,000. And I sold those 4 lots. So I had 4 1-acre lots. I know you like numbers, so one of them sold for 19, 21, 27, and 26 under 6 months. I love those deals. Like they're nothing that's going to get me on a magazine cover, but I will do those deals all day long. Not a whole lot of capital out of my pocket. It's very safe. It wasn't like super rural. I never do super rural. It's not infill, but it's not super rural. And man, I love doing those deals.
Awesome. Listen, I love hearing stories when people make money, and especially in details like this. I think that's what makes a podcast like mine very interesting and inspiring for the people that regular people can also do this stuff, right? On a daily basis. It happens. We're all humans, and it's all up to you to make it happen. So listen, I want to unpack a little bit about your strategy and how you do it. I know you mentioned it in a way you describe it like for regular folks like myself, but I know you created a burn process. So tell us what it is, burn process.
Yeah, thank you. So the burn process was from the publishing business. And we had to essentially take somebody's story that's this big and fit it in a book about that size. And so how do we do that? And, I would be working with entrepreneurs who could write 10 books, but we had to try to put it all into one. So we developed this thing called the burn process, and I'll share it with you, and I'll tell you how I relate it to real estate. Burn is simply this. If you throw a bunch of materials into a fire, only the things of lasting value withstand the flames. You're going to have diamonds, gold, and steel. That's what we would do for people's stories, their ideas, their content, is we would throw it into this fire, so to speak, to find the things of lasting value. Diamonds that display beauty through testimony and story, steel that gives people strength, gold that's valuable to other people so they'll pay for it. And that's how we would take something this big and make it like that, man. So it's how we would find a story. It's how we would tell a story. And it's how we would know it's the right time to tell the story. So you have to have a timing of how you deliver stories. It's not just about saying it. You got to know when to say it, how long to give yourself, and all those things. So this matters when you're talking to sellers, when I'm talking with investors, when I'm talking with anybody. My ability to put a story around a deal so people can understand it. So what is actual BURN acronym? It's BURN, right? So here's how you tell a story. Every story starts with a beginning. The B in BURN is for beginning. And obviously, but beginnings matter. So in your life, you can find a part of your life where you had a new beginning. And you begin in two ways: a loss or a leap. A loss is, this thing happened to me. I didn't want it, ask for it, earn it, or deserve it. Here it is, and it is setting me up on a new part of life. A leap is when I say, there's a mountain, I'm going to climb it. So the beginning, then you have the U in BURN is for urgency. Urgency is, now this beginning has happened. What am I going to do about it? And I choose to act. I act out of necessity. I don't know where I'm going anymore, but I can't stay here. Or I act out of volition. I'm going to go that direction. And this is very important because this is where these require courage, these moments. The R in BURN is then refinement. We had a beginning, we have urgency, we decide to act, now we get refined. It's the biggest part of the process and where all the good stuff comes from. We get refined in three ways. One is street lessons. Lessons you learn in the streets. Alex, you know how to do multifamily and real estate deals that nobody has ever taught you. You just learn how to do it after doing so many deals. Those are street lessons. Street skills are the skill sets we actually acquire along the way. Like you will acquire your own particular kind of skill set after you do 10, 15, 20 deals. There's skills that you acquire naturally. And then third is divine appointments. The right person at the right time with the right word. And as I look back, I say, had I not run into that person, I don't know what I would have done. And then there's divine appointments that don't look so divine. They're bad things, that bad people. A lot of times you can get used up in business, like this person used me, abused me, whatever the case may be. Well, if you get used, you know where you're usable. So there's a silver lining even in that. Then we come around, and then the N in BURN is for newness. A new result, a new part of yourself. There's closure, there's finality. The story is over, and I move on to the next thing. So these are cycles. We have these cycles, many of them going on in our lives at a certain period of time. But this is how I manage projects. I build a whole company around this concept. Even like, let's apply this to deal making. Like, can you, when you're on the phone and you're talking to a seller, communicate who you are, why you're calling them, what you want to do, and then bring that to a conclusion so you set up the next conversation. So I use this BURN process in everything I do so I can tell effective stories, which is really just creating a mental image in somebody's mind, because we think in pictures. We don't think in words. We think in pictures. And it's how I get a deal done. It's how I manage around a deal. And it's how I bring it into its conclusion and close. Does that make a little bit of
Wow,
sense?
everything has a story, right? And how you present the story and how you go through it, this is what actually will leave impact or make a sale, right?
Yeah.
Or break a deal if you don't do if you overwhelm people with unnecessary information. This is also part of it, right? You like it's not going to be successful. So you have to understand what's relevant. You have to understand where it's coming from, and going and feeding it through your BURN funnel. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. It's like a logical step you need to think through to understand it's okay. This is going to be a successful story and exit or sale, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Well, even how I manage a project or how I delegate something. BURN. Here's the beginning. I'm delegating this to my assistant. Here's when you're starting. And here's the end. No, then you go to newness. Here's the outcome that I want. Here is success here. So here's when you're going to start. The first thing in urgency is, when does the deadline? When does it have to be done? The process is, here's how you're going to get it done. And newness is, this is when you know you're successfully completed with this specific task. And I can manage to all that. It's how I can delegate and everything, because everything needs to fit within a box or a mental image people can think in. So you can apply this in a lot of ways. But I think, like, specifically in real estate, Alex, like, as I was writing the book and talking about the importance of storytelling, I had a guy reach out to me, and he was like, I got this piece of land in Missouri, and he was like, it's $20,000. I was like, okay. I look at the property. I'm like, I think I'll buy this from him. I messaged him back. I said, okay, like, what's the process? I want to buy it. He goes, well, here's your 3 options. And I was like, well, do you own it? Are you assigning this? Like, I had to go through like 10 different iterations with him to understand what is your relationship to this property and how do I buy it from you? I want to buy it. It took me a long time, and I'm like, I'm already getting fatigued, versus this realtor called me up and she's like, what do you, here's the situation. This property just went under contract. What are you looking for? And I said, here's what I'm looking for. And I spelled it out in like 30 seconds, right? I'm looking for 20 acres of land that's got 2 sides road access, has utilities to one corner, which within 15 minutes of a 30,000 population town, within an hour of a major metro area, and I'm a cash buyer. Like, I'm looking in this area. She knew exactly what I was looking for, and then I followed up with a text message because she's going to forget about it 5 minutes later. You know what I mean? So that is how, very simply put, just having an awareness of what am I looking for, what's going to be successful, what I need to get out of my conversations so I can state that clearly, and I can just like add some value in some way to this person. So I'm not just saying, here's what I need to get and get out of my way if you don't have it, right? I can build a relationship. They know I have authority and clarity, and it opens doors more so than
Love it, love it.
the guy on Facebook who I couldn't figure out if he owned the land or not.
Yes, and I think it's important for us with all the story and storytelling in the whole start to finish, not to get away and not to lose a train of thought, right? And like there's a lot of companies online, they use the same strategy, like SaaS products or website. If you don't have a clear plan or clear offer on the site, no one gonna buy your product. No one gonna go through the exit, through the sale button. And when people process it, they forget it. But if you don't have a clear sale button, it's never gonna happen. So that's why you have your clarity on the website. They already refined it to the T, but we still lacking it in day-to-day operations. But looking at you, you just replicating exactly the same process, burden, make it straight to the point, understanding what you want in life, and actually applying. So you just mentioned about your book, and I'm actually very excited to hear about it. And tell us more about it. How did your book come into play, and what are you trying to achieve with it?
Yeah, thank you. So I wrote this book to just be a value add that I can give away to people, a way to add value all the time. It just talks about the burn process, talks about deal making and storytelling, talks about the fundamentals of how do you buy land, how do you find it, how do you buy it, all that stuff. And then I go in depth into like rezoning and how do you do that and deal with difficult neighbors and all that kind of stuff. I think the important part for like your listeners is I wrote that book to be a networking tool and to create deal flow for myself. And if people know I have an authority in a specific area of real estate, I want to create deal flow around that. So rezone, subdivides, complicated deals that most land investors go, I don't want to touch this, but here's this deal. What can I do with it? That's the reason I wrote the book, is to make myself another resource out there that people know I know what I'm doing, but it's to create deal flow, man. So, and I think like you were talking, Alex, like you got all this back pile content from this podcast. I bet if you sat down for a day and just spoke into a microphone, a specific thing that you know about multifamily or whatever, you could have a book, you put that thing out there, and wherever you want to direct it towards. I'm doing it to create deal flow. That is like it. And everything else is a bonus. I don't care. Like when I launch it, I'm going to give it away for free. I'm going to have piles of books that are just going to go out. I'm just going to give them away. But like, for example, I'm going to go into markets I want to penetrate. I'm going to send my book with a note of like what I'm trying to do to estate planners, realtors, title companies, mortgage officers, anybody who would be a good referral point for me. They're going to get my book with a handwritten note and a little explanation of the kind of properties I'm looking to buy. So that's going to be a big part of my marketing strategy for acquisition of land, instead of just sending out mailers, which probably will keep working, but I've seen that go way down very, very quickly. But that's why I wrote the book. So it's just kind of a different way to try to create deal flow and add value.
And I like it because you started your career from creating a book for publishing business. Now, since you pivoted and you got all this experience from publishing books and helping other people, creating burn matter and use it daily, now you're creating your book to create lead first help people, right, to understand the land business and land game, and at the same time establish authority, like authority builder, like you told in the original story in your origin, and now you're doing the same applying to real estate. It's very cool.
Yeah, I never thought about that until you just said it. And it's like, like I had a guy reach out to me. He's like, "Hey, I'm looking to rezone this," and I'm like, "I'll give you as much time as you need. I'll help you get this done." But I'm like, chapter 10 of this book like has a for real. I don't know. There's probably better stuff out there, but I'm like, I think this might be the most complete how to do a rezone from front to back that's out there, right down to how you present to a board. And I'm like, dude, I'm not telling you to read my book, but I'm like, just keep it as it'll be a guide for you. So I'm
Awesome.
hoping if people got those opportunities, they might be a little more confident to say, you know what, I'm at least take a step and see if I can do this.
Sign me up. When the book is released, I would like to get it for sure. Send me the link. I'll buy it. Now, Jeremy, I know it's been already so much time and we're talking about it, and we can go on and on and on. There's so many topics I want to discuss with you, but I want to be mindful about your time. So I have a last few questions, quick hits, lightning round. So first thing that comes to your mind, let us know. One book or resource that shape your mindset, real estate or business mindset.
One book. Oh man, if I had to pick one singular book, it would be, and not from a religious standpoint, from a very practical book of Proverbs. Proverb is made by a king that says to its heirs, "This is how I rule." So they say, like, that's why a proverb exists for any kind of cultures. The book of Proverbs is like my favorite. It's like the richest guy to ever live so far, King Solomon, writing to his heirs, "This is how I do it." And so that's my favorite. It's always been my favorite. If I had to pick another one more, it would probably be Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And that got
That's
to
a good one.
me early in my career and just made an impact on me. It's probably something I should read again.
I think I reread this book twice a year, at least once a year, but consistently every year it comes back to my radar, and I'm like, oh, someone talk about it, like I need to revisit it. It's a very powerful book.
Yeah, it is. And it's very simple, very fundamental.
Yes. Okay, next question. Most important trait a business leader should develop.
This is a great question, Alex. You are a great interviewer. Most important trait,
Thank you.
I think, if you can, so a business leader, so you're more than just performing, you're leading, it should be your ability to deal with people. If you can do that, you can get a long ways. Your ability to work with people.
And I think listening to your speech to talk about all of this stuff from your personal, I think also problem solver is one of the important traits for you. That what I've noticed, people like to easy road, like to take, but you are trying to, hey, listen, what's the hardest here, and that no one want to touch it, and I'm gonna solve that problem. I
Yep.
think that what actually works for you, but human dealing with people, it's one of the cornerstones. I think
I think so.
without talking people and dealing with the deal, you can have a deal, you can have a talk, you can have a nothing until you get out of your shell and talk to people and actually make yourself a good human being, presentable and talking to other people. Love it. Okay, one thing you wish you knew earlier in your real estate journey.
That I didn't need to have money to get into deals. Sure helps, but I didn't know there's creative ways to acquire or take control over real estate without money right out of your pocket that day. I did not know that. That was
Like assignment,
revolutionary.
seller financing or assignment, or taking over.
Or very small
Absolutely.
EMD down and giving yourself time. Whatever the case may be, you don't need to have a pile of money. You just need to be able to find a deal.
I guess it all comes with experience. So luckily, your first deal let you build that confidence and authority in the space, and now you can do it all. Okay, last question for listeners: if someone to reach out to you, someone wanted to learn about your deals, maybe invest in you, or just get your book, man, how can people reach you?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Probably like I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. You can shoot me an email. In my book, I put my cell phone in my book. So, like, you can go to Amazon and find my book. It's called Pursuit of the Deal. It'll be out here when this is done. If you email me, I'll just give it to you. Like, you don't need to go buy it on Amazon. I'd like that, but I'd rather you just get the book. So you can email me. But I would say, like, you're going to put all my social media links and stuff. Just find me. If you got a deal that you're having troubles with, or you're not really sure how to do, I just love talking to people about deals. I do it all day long. So no, don't be ashamed about reaching out to me if you just got questions. That's where it always starts.
Real estate people like to talk real estate 24/7.
That's right.
Call me at night. You have a deal. I'm all attention.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, Alex, I think people should get into your podcast. I think they should go find some more of your episodes that are relevant to them right away. You do a good job of breaking things down for people and really giving them like actionable steps. So I think like pick whatever niche you're trying to go down in real estate. And like you've probably got a couple of episodes out there. So I'd encourage people like subscribe, sign up, write a review for this podcast. Like these things take a ton of work to get done and a ton of work to get out there. You're certainly doing that effort, Alex. That creates a lot of value for people. So I would say that'd be my last thing too. Look at a couple other episodes, hit the like, hit the subscribe, do the things, write a review, and promote this out there. So I appreciate you a lot letting me come on here, Alex.
Thank you so much for the warm words. And the last question for me personally: when's the book is supposed to launch?
It's supposed to launch, so I'm going to get my first couple copies here, like front end of next week. So it's going to launch yet in February. And when I launch it, I'm just going to give the Kindle edition away for free. So I'll make sure you get a link. It's going to be for free for like 4 or 5 days when it launches, so I can just get it in as many people's hands as possible. Dude, I'm going to mail you a physical copy though, Alex. So you're getting.
I would like a signed copy because you're gonna be a big one. So I need to make sure I have a sign so I can show my kids.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't degrade it too much if I sign it. I'm going to get you one, buddy. No problem.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeremy. Jeremy, it was a powerful conversation. Listen, I really appreciate it. Really enjoyed it, and going from all the struggles and everything that you lived through your life to actually make it success story, happy story, and really helping other people along the way. I think real estate is all about relationship and networking and helping others. It's not only get rich by myself and just keep it tight. You sharing this knowledge. You out there, you promote this. Hey, listen, get into land investing. This is how you do it. You write in a book and you're showing people that it's all possible. And I think this is what makes real estate beautiful, that we share it and we welcome other people to participate in the deals and be financially free and educated. So thank you so much again for what you do.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks again for having me on, Alex. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And for everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure, like Jeremy said, like and subscribe and leave us a review. And as always, keep moving forward.